How's it going, y'all? Welcome to episode 2 of Transformation Conversations. Shout out Jason for the guest from the first video for giving me that idea for the name. Let me know if you guys like it. This episode is with one of my good friends, Marc. He's an artist and he's a producer. And in this episode, we talked about, him living with his mental illness, schizophrenia, and him battling it. And we talked about him, just his life story, things that happened in his life. We talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about music. We talked about relationship dynamics. We talked about a lot of stuff. I really like this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. There is a slight audio issue. I put the camera on I'm filming my car, so I had the AC on. And I put the camera right where the AC vent was. So in this episode, you can kind of hear the AC fan blasting. But, if you can get over it, I got over it, after hearing Marc talk. So sorry for the audio issue. It won't happen again. Please enjoy this episode, and peace. What's going on, guys? Young Ak here. I'm here with my boy Marc. You go by Marc, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And then my boy in the back, Juan.
What's good?
One of my best friends. And Marc, I believe I met last year, right?
Yes, sir, through Greg.
Through Greg, yeah. Greg is one of my good friends, too. I met him through Juan. He's actually working right now. But we'll see him another time, hopefully. But yeah, I wanted to get Marc on here to just talk about his story. I don't know much about him, but from what I met him, I got a good vibe, got a good energy, and those type of people I want to get to know and get to know their story. Everybody has some type of value to give. Everybody's life, you can take something from it and learn from it.
Exactly.
And I feel like, it doesn't matter if you're like a big artist or like you have 50,000 Instagram followers, like just the average person is just valuable. Even like, I tell people this all the time, older people are the best because you get so much, they have so much experience. Like, even though the world has changed, like, I did a interview with one of my mentors, Jason, Coach Jay. He's a trainer, and he's 39, 40, and bro, you're gonna see that episode. He spit gems.
You got a point there too, because history does tend to repeat itself. Even though times are changing, they've seen things happen time and time again. So the advice they're giving is like not just like, hey, this happened to me once. It's consistently happening. So it's like, hey, you should listen. And plus, when you think about it, like I'm 24. How old are you? 24, nice. Yeah. When you think about it, people who are like our grandparents, or even our parents, that they are our age and then some. So like they've lived a whole nother lifetime of ours and then some. So like when they give advice, I try to listen, because like I'd be very arrogant to believe I had the answer to life at 24. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone's telling me, hey, I've been in your shoes, what you're doing works, but it could be working way better if you did this, I'll try that. I might not take it to heart just yet. I might try it out for a little bit. But it'll at least meeting new people and like listening to advice, not all advice, different perspectives. Like it helps shape your perspective and helps refine your perspective.
Yeah, I was talking about it. I did an episode today, like a quick 10-minute episode. I was talking about like learn to admit when you're wrong, because a lot, like especially with guys, like we have such big egos, and when somebody tells us no, your opinion's wrong, like no, you're wrong. Like we never listen to like their perspective, even though we might not agree with them. Like they could be coming from a different place, and you might be wrong.
Oh yeah. Because at the end of the day, like a lot of things are subjective. Like what's good, what's bad is all subjective. So like what's good to you and what works for you might not be good to someone else and might not work for someone else. But does that mean that you should discredit it and say, hey, that's bad? No, well, maybe it's good to them. So like get that perspective, help refine your perspective, and like just you have it's almost like when two parents come together and they raise a kid, and that kid's the product of the parents. When you mix like two perspectives together, you like get like one nice like conjointing like big perspective. It's a more mature perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let's start with your life.
All right.
So you're born 97, you said?
96.
96.
Right in 96.
Okay. And
we were gay.
we both 96.
96. Hell
96, man.
You're a rat, but don't call me a rat though.
Yeah. So where were you born?
I was born in Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice,
in a place called West Ashley. To those of you all who know Charleston, South Carolina, shout out the West Ashley area, James Island, Sullivan's Island, Mount Pleasant. Y'all know the vibes. But if I had to compare it to Charlotte, West Ashley, where I grew up, was probably the what we say, like West Tryon, or I don't know, so somewhere I don't know what places in Charlotte are considered like rough, but it would be like let's say like the rougher parts of Uptown.
Okay.
Where like I had a point in time
it was
where
the hood.
kind of pretty much.
Yeah.
I had my grandpa. He's still around. I love him to death. He's my central father figure. Bless up if you ever watch this. He built me a bike from scratch when I was in elementary school. He literally would find pieces like as he was like driving around like the neighborhood one day. And like when people like would scrap pieces, he built a bike from scratch and it was functional.
So your grandparents raised you?
Oh yeah, I want to I'll use that loosely. I'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
But someone actually ended up stealing my bike out of my garage.
Damn.
That like it wasn't like I would say it was like rough. It was just it wasn't the best area.
Yeah.
And so, but I also. I don't really care about that anymore. I'm more blessed. I've gotten to, like we were saying earlier, be subjected to that older generation because
you learn from your grandparents.
Because from a young age, I had the older generation guiding me the whole time, and it wasn't necessarily that my grandparents raised me per se, but my mother, my parents divorced when I was really young. So my mom, she was a waitress her whole life. She dropped out of high school originally because she got pregnant with me. She eventually got her GED, but she was working 2 jobs to support me and my little sister at the time before my youngest sister came in play.
Yeah.
And she was always working. So we were always with my grandparents. There was my grandmother, my grandfather.
Yeah.
And I remember we had like a big backyard, and it was so cool because it wasn't just her that was struggling. Like all I won't give like any names, I put their personal business out there, but a lot of people in my family have struggled. And I come from a family. At this point, we had like 16 cousins. Yeah. I'm the oldest. I was like the 3rd oldest out of like 15, 16 cousins at this point. And so my grandparents' house was like kind of like a place of refuge, like for like the parents who like they weren't like necessarily where DSS would take their kids away, but they weren't necessarily like, let's say, financially stable enough to keep us around. My grandparents were, so like they would watch us, and we kind of like all became a huge family. Yeah. So when I say like cousins and things like that, I use it really loosely because I consider them brothers. When I say like grandparents, I say that loosely because
I'm the
I say
same
as
way.
parents.
Like I grew up with my cousins in the same house for like 4 years. So me and my first cousin, he's 2 years older than me, but we're like brothers. So I assume it's the same. Like you're like brothers and sisters.
And that's probably a story for another point in the podcast too, because I know the podcast is not like the pro music or anything like that.
But no, you can talk about your journey.
Gotcha, because that pretty much was what spurred the whole journey. Is that a few years ago, my cousin, his name was Aiden. His name is Aiden, but he's one of those people that was one of the people that were at the household with me that I grew up with, my brother and my younger brother. And one day he came to me. He was like, dude, you're getting kind of good at rapping. I've been doing it for a hobby for a little bit. I was kind of rapping my girlfriend at the time. I was like, I can rap.
What year was this?
This is 2019, January of this was when he came up to me. It probably would have been June of 2019.
So he's older than you?
He's 2 years younger, or 2 to 3 years younger, a little bit younger. That might be a cap. He's younger than me. He turns 19 this year, so he was a good bit younger. Yeah. But I've been writing she's my ex-girlfriend now, but I wrote her a song after our 1st year anniversary. Yeah. I wrote her song once a month, each month. I was like, I can do that. One of your favorite songs, a rap song, I can play the piano, I can make a beat. Yeah. Now my first beat, I'm telling y'all, fire. Oh my gosh! But my rapping, utter trash.
Yeah, it is for everybody. I was the same way.
I remember I was just like. It wasn't even it wasn't mumble rap. It was muffled rap. You know what I'm saying? It was worse. And nothing wrong with mumble rap. That's not what I'm saying. But he eventually got to the point where he was like, "Hey man, you're getting kind of good." He's like, "I haven't told him this yet, but I'm actually trying to get into producing, and I don't want to tell him until I got good. Cause I don't want to embarrass myself." Yeah. And he's like, I'm not saying this, but you were doing it. I was like, I didn't take it that way. But he was like, but you're getting kind of good. He's like, can you rap over one of my beats so I can see if this is something I can actually do. And we were gonna collaborate. And before I got the chance to collaborate with him, he was crossing the road one day on a motorbike on the Greenway. And now the Greenway kind of connected. It had like the Greenway, the road.
Charlotte.
This was South Carolina. Okay. So we're Charleston, West Ashley.
Okay.
So we had like the Greenway here, the road, and the Greenway here. So on either side is the Greenway, and you had to cross to get to the road. A man, I will not drop his name, but he was under the influence, hit my cousin, and instead of calling the ambulance, kept going. Now, his best friend was there. His best friend called the ambulance immediately. So I don't think necessarily the outcome would have changed.
Yeah.
But he did try to hit and run, and my cousin ended up passing away on the way to the ambulance.
Wow.
Now, I'm not trying to play on any of your heartstrings. I want to make it clear that I did not take this as at first it was really hard. I took it really hard at first. Using my brother.
Yeah.
But eventually I flipped my perspective, because life is all about perspective. If you don't believe you can do something, you'll never do it. If you don't believe you can achieve something, you'll never achieve it. So I was like, wait, when he looks down at me, that's my bad too.
Yeah, if
That
you
was your cousin.
your cousin, yeah.
But shout out Aiden.
Looking at
That literally happened right when you said
That's crazy. That's crazy. Holy. But what's it called? I was like, I flipped my perspective. I was like, when he looks down on me from heaven, I was like, do I want him to be like, man, the influence I had on you is this, and you're all depressed and you're all slumping over yourself and you're not doing anything for yourself? Or when he looks down, do I want him to be like, oh, dude, you're getting fire around me. It was because of me?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Like he's looking down and he's like, I wanted him to be happy with me. I want to be happy with me. You know what I'm saying? I learned I'm happy I got to know him more than I'm upset that he's gone, because not everyone got to know him to the level I got to know him. Not everyone will get to know him. And he was an amazing person. He was that kid who, he didn't bully other kids, but he was that kid where if he saw you getting picked on, he's not gonna be quiet about it. He stands up for it. Like there's a video. There was such a cool video. There's this kid. I don't remember the full story, but this kid was like, I think talking smack one day, and in the morning he goes, I am so tired of you causing all these problems around me. He's like, you got to say it to my face, swing, hit me. And then the dude wouldn't hit him. My cousin just bam, just flung up, dude. It was crazy. It was all out of it was like a vigilante. He was a little vigilante.
There's a video of this.
His best friend has the video of it. It's not online anymore. It's just on his phone. But I don't. My cousin was not abusive or anything like that. He a little vigilante. Yeah. And after that, I was like, I started taking music seriously. I was like, you know what? No more doing this as a hobby. Yeah. I need to learn cadence. I need to learn flow. I need to learn where are these other artists putting their EQ in on the beat. Like where do their voice sit in the beat? Where does the beat, like where's the bass sit? Like what is the volume level of the bass compared to my voice? Like mastering, mixing, all that stuff.
So before music, like what were you doing? Like did you have like a purpose, or like what was your life like?
Before music, I was always into music. I knew I always wanted to do something with music. I just didn't think it was gonna be rap.
You were a listener.
Yeah, I was a listener. I didn't think I was necessarily gonna like become an artist. I thought I'd do it on the side, but I did want to do music therapy. Yeah. Because this was back in 2016. I had just moved to Boone, North Carolina, so I was going to go to school out in Boone, North Carolina. I was pursuing at this time. It was either architecture or orthodontistry. I can't remember which one of the two it was, but I was studying one of the two. And I will never forget the first week I moved in. I used to smoke a lot of weed, and my roommates and I were all taking the dab hits around the room. I thought they spiked the dab hit, because as soon as I take the dab hit, boom, my mind just like spiraled out of control. I thought maybe I was just having a bad trip. Like I was like, I'm too high. But this high would last for a whole 8 months to a year and 2 months. Wow. And what happened, it turns out I fell into a psychosis. And when people don't know,
from a dab pen.
It wasn't from the dab pen. It's just I didn't know that I had this illness called schizophrenia. Okay. And most people, you're not born with it. This is what I learned in psychology. Most people don't have their first episode. There is early adolescence schizophrenia, and there is childhood schizophrenia. Yeah. But typically, you don't have your first case until you're 19 years old. Well, I was 19 in 2016, and the first week I moved out, boom, I fell into psychosis. But the thing is that, as I was explaining earlier, it's a neuropsychological disorder, meaning the synapses, the neural pathways in my brain just don't quite click correctly. But through medicine, I'm completely sane. They click properly. And but marijuana is a psychoactive drug. Yeah. And because it spurs on some of the symptoms of that psychosis, it can trigger it. And that is why my nurse and that's why my mom, my nurse, everyone to this day are they're so skeptical of when I start smoking, because they don't want it to happen again. They know it can happen at any time, even on the medicine. Yeah. So I'm technically playing with my life every time I do smoke. Wow. And so I ended up going to the hospital, and I'll never forget this. I don't know how many of you all are spiritual. I personally believe in God. I don't know who the real God is. I just believe that personally. I believe Jesus Christ died for my sins, so I might have a second life in heaven. I don't hate on anyone for having a different God or anything like that. I believe at the end of the day, religion teaches us to love each other and to that there is a second life for us. Through being generous and out of genuity of our heart. But I kid you not, schizophrenia. So to those of you who don't know who it is or don't know what it is, it's a rare neuropsychological disorder or a rare mental illness. 1.4% of the entire worldwide population have it. So there's
12.4?
so there's a 98.6% chance you will never have it in your lifetime.
Wow.
And it's not hereditary. Like my children will not have it most likely. It usually skips generations for that matter. Like it's random. You literally I just got like a bad hand.
Yeah.
And what eventually happened is I was explaining schizophrenia. Right? So to those of you who don't know what schizophrenia is, pretty much I can hear things that aren't there. I can see things that aren't there. Taste things. I can have delusional thoughts, irrational thoughts. So what I really want to bring up religion is that even I can hear things. And when I asked my mom to pick me up from my roommate's house, or the people I was living with house, I was like, Mom, they're gonna kill me. I was like, they're out to hurt me. I thought everyone's out to hurt me.
Yeah.
I thought everyone out to kill me and my family. That was a delusion in my head.
Wow.
And so my plan was I wanted to drive the car off of the mountain.
Wow.
And there was a voice that kept saying, don't do it. I will hurt you before you can hurt your mom. I don't know who it was. I don't know how that happened, but that was part of my illness. And I was scared. I was scared. I couldn't move in the car. I was so scared that I just didn't move. When I got out the car, we eventually get back to Charlotte, North Carolina. So that was happening. Boom. We're back in Charlotte, North Carolina now. I get out the car. I see 4 large men with butcher knives. They're all twirling their hands. They're charging right at me. I run inside. My mom's not even phased. In my head, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
She runs inside after me, all worried. She's my mother, of course. And she had made my favorite. She had made my favorite meal at night, beef stew, which is just pork, not pork. It's beef tenderloin, rice, carrots, veggies. Oh, it's. But
Mom's food is always the best.
And she had cooked plates for everyone, my little sisters and everything. And my little sisters weren't home, so keep in mind I was in a state of delusion. I think everyone's out to get me and my family. I just saw 4 large men charging me with butcher knives, and my little sisters are not home, but there's a plate of food where they're sitting. In my head, the people with the butcher knives got to my sisters, and now my mom's trying to feed me my sisters. When I told my mom that, I'm so blessed to have you. She was like, yeah. In her head, she's like, something's wrong. But she told me, she was like, hey, are you hungry? If you don't want to eat this, I'll get you some McDonald's. And so I got in the car with her. She took me to the hospital instead.
Wow.
So shout out, Mom. You knew what to do.
Yeah.
You handled that situation like a boss. Because again, there's a 98.6% chance no one will ever experience that. And she right off the bat just knew what to do. Out of motherly instinct.
Did she always knew you had that?
Not at all, because that was the first time any of us had known or seen that side.
That episode.
Yep. And so I got to the hospital. The worst part is I thought the hospital was a cannibal center. I didn't know what discharge meant. I never heard this term in my life. There was inpatient, there was outpatient. I was hospitalized for a full month. And that was when they let me get out of the hospital. I signed a waiver saying I want to leave. They wanted to keep me longer.
Yeah.
But they kept feeding me. I was like, are they trying to plump me up? I didn't realize I had not eaten for a good 4 or 5 days straight.
Wow.
I was very thin. I went from, I think I was weighing like 130 pounds or 140 pounds. I'm 6 feet tall. So that was not good for me. In my head, I was like, are they trying to plump me up so they can eat me and discharge me? In my head, discharge meant like, that.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to come out of that. But that happened in 2016, 2017. That was a very traumatic experience for me because it was hard. Like I couldn't speak. I became, here's an important term. So with psychosis, you fall into this thing called catatonia. It's very often if you're having a psychotic episode, someone becomes catatonic. So that means that you lose your basic motor functions. For me, the basic motor function was the ability to speak. I could not speak. I was mute. If you guys know what words per minute is, like a little typing score.
Yeah.
If I had a speaking typing score, it timed me. It was maybe 3 words every 5 minutes. And sometimes it wasn't even that. Sometimes it was 2 words an hour.
Yeah.
2 words every hour. And I will never forget this. And then this is also the coolest thing in the world. After 8 months, long months, I got hospitalized twice. And so the first episode lasted 8 months. The next one lasted 6 months. I'm pretty sure it's a year and 2 months total. But I remember praying to God. I was like, I haven't come here in so long. I said, if you could just do one thing for me. I know you're always looking out for me. I know you're always this is probably a trial for a reason. I didn't know why at the time. I know why now, but at the time I was like, I don't know why this is happening, but please just give me my speech back. Yeah. Next morning, I kid you not, for a year and 2 months, I could not speak.
I had a similar story.
And right afterwards, I was just going at it, bro. And I was like, I was so excited to speak that I developed rapid speech. I didn't even care. I was like, I haven't been able to speak for a whole year. I'm getting all the words out I can.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it all ties together is just like, without that experience, it showed me a really important thing too. It showed me you can lose everything you have. You can lose your livelihood like that. So be appreciative for what you have, because it sounds cliche, but you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
So like when I face I'm thankful for that, because it's like, sure, Would I want it to happen again? Never.
Yeah.
But had that not happened, who's to say I would have the perspective I have today and be able to connect with people the way I connect with today?
Yeah.
But the point of the sale of that, too, is I think you had a really good point where you said I wasn't dealt the best hand. And you said it was just really unlucky that this happened. That's another important lesson of life. Life is kind of like a game of poker if you think about it. We're all given a hand. There are cards on the table that might match other people's hands a little bit better. However, how do you play your hand so that you beat the other players? That other player might have a four of a kind, or full suit, or whatever it's called. You might only have a two pair. How do you play it? How do you go in or fold or play your face? How do you just play the game to where you psych them out so they fold and then you win off of one pair?
Yeah.
You can play your card. You might not be given the best hand. You might not be dealt the best hand, but you can damn sure.
You can bluff.
You can play that hand to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Because you can play a bad hand at a professional level. If that makes sense.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I like where you're going with it.
Sorry.
But this relates to what you said. In our religion, in Islam, very similar to Christianity, we believe that, God's plan is perfect. Like, He knows what's going to happen, and His plan is better than any plan you can come up with for your own life. So, this guy, I was listening to a lecture, and the guy was saying, like, look back at your life, see what happened, and you realize that God's plan is perfect because it led you to the place where you are today. So I really believe everything that you went through, it wasn't bad because it's supposed to make you the person you are. And you're right, it's the cards you're given, but you choose how to use those cards. So you could have, been like, oh man, like I have this disability, mental illness, and I can just, give up and smoke my life away, but you chose a different way, and now you're doing what you think is your purpose, and you're living it. So
Can I piggyback on that real fast too?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I remember the point that the whole reason I even brought up schizophrenia in the first place. You asked me what I was like doing up in what I was like studying things like that, and boom.
Yeah.
So originally I was doing orthodontistry. When this happened, when I got hospitalized, it made me realize I don't want to do orthodontistry. I want to help other people. I came out of this, like I came out of my situation, yes, because of God too, because I had a huge support system. Everyone was trying to pull me out of that psychosis.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a huge support system behind their back.
Thanks.
Not everyone goes to a traumatic experience where they're designated people who are gonna be in their corner.
Yeah.
I can be in people's corner because I've grown empathetic. So that is when I started wanted to do music therapy. So the life before music was music therapy. Then, like you said, everything happens for a reason. God's plan is perfect because had I not pursued music therapy, I would have never gotten to the point where I started making beats.
Yeah.
Had I never started making beats, I would have never gotten to the point where I started rapping. Had I never started rapping, I couldn't ever achieve my cousin's dream through the two of us. So everything does happen for a reason, and I think in a sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting what you had there.
And it's gonna continue to happen. Like as you get older, you're gonna like look back and be like, oh wow, this bad thing happened, but it led to a good thing. Like, yeah. Well, you got anything to say, bro?
No, I agree.
But it's crazy too, because like when you look in the rearview mirror, because like there's so many times you're like, why are you doing this? Like it might take a few years.
Yeah.
And I heard this really good quote. It was like, my mom that told it to me, but she said, sometimes you long for the people you used to have those good conversations with because sometimes you long for them because you remember those conversations. God took them out your life because He heard those conversations you couldn't. So it's like, in a sense, it's like you missed them because you remember those good times, but God saw that negative, that animosity, that negativity, or maybe that negative aspect of them that wasn't necessarily lined up for you. Or maybe sometimes too, I think we all have a path we're going down, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes our paths are parallel. Sometimes they intersect.
Sometimes
they
leave each other.
And sometimes they stray. So sometimes people are just in your life I feel like to shape perspective, refine your perspective, and then go on to the next chapter of their life.
So like it's kind of like it's almost like when you split up with somebody. It's kind of like you said, like they were in your life for a reason.
Exactly.
You're saying like different things like that. So I feel
you. Anything else to say? I mean, we could talk about anything, to be honest.
Trying to think. I'm glad you said that. I don't want to like run over the time or something.
We got time.
I was Mark's dating life.
I'm Mark's dating life. Okay. I'm glad you asked that.
Juicy topic.
That's a funny story of topic right now. Okay. I was looking for a relationship, and I want to say was. I want to make this very clear. Was. Here's why. One, I'm realizing I'm 24 years old. I thought that was old enough to be mature enough for a relationship. I'm realizing really quickly. I won't drop any last names, but I won't even drop a name. But I was talking to this girl that I was starting to get interested in.
Yeah.
And eventually, it got to the point where. Appreciate. Oh no.
Bro, is that my chocolate bar?
Oh, you don't want to be the chocolate?
No, nothing. I'm back in March. I weighed 225 pounds. I'm back down to 179. I bloat really quickly, and I'm not trying to go back to that weight.
Damn, when I saw you last time, you were pretty fit, bro.
I ended up like when I went my slump, bro. It was not good.
We'll talk about fitness after.
Yeah, but in the dating life, I thought I was mature enough to want a relationship, and then after I met this girl who was really more progressive in her life than I was, I realized, damn, I got a long way to go for a relationship. And so on top of that, a lot of women I come across are not ready for a relationship. It's not because it's not their fault. It's not like any person's fault. It's just we're so young that we're still maturing. Like we don't quite know what we want.
Facts, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying like these young relationships don't work out and they can't work out. It's just are you and her on the same mental maturity level? Because life is. I feel like relationships like reading a book. You know, friendships, whether it's friendships, relationships, work relationships. You want to be on the prologue at the same time they're on the prologue. Because if you're on chapter 1 and they're on chapter 5, and there's like you think the main character. Oops, sorry. You think the main character is the good guy, and she realizes there's a plot twist, and then there's obviously the main character is the bad guy, but you're supporting the good guy, and she's like, well, what are you doing? The point is like you guys will be on different pages, and like it's not gonna sync up. And I feel like that's a huge problem with like young relationships, is that we're constantly maturing and we're constantly improving. That you eventually, it's not that you always get to this point, but sometimes you get to a point where your maturity levels or your perspectives are just, they don't synchronize anymore. And it's not that you're not meant for each other anymore. It's just like people are they're in your lives for a reason to help shape you for the next person who's even better for you.
What do you think about? All right, so like you said, relationships. What do you think about like two alphas dating, or like an alpha or a beta? Or so what do you think? What do you think's the right connection? Like you said, to sync up.
Oh, to sync up.
What do you think? I feel like because there's a lot of females that have BDE. You know what I'm saying? Big dick energy. There's a lot of females that you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of dudes that have like small dick. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
I think it depends. I think because
what do you think works the best?
What do I personally think works the best? So I think it's subjective, because what works for me might not work for the next person.
True.
I don't think it's necessarily like, hey, this person's really confident. They need someone who's really insecure. I don't think it works like that. I don't see it like being like a yin and yang situation. I think it's more so, where am I going with my life?
Yeah.
Where are you going with yours? Do you have attributes that I want in my life, that I want for my potential kids, that I want for my potential life, that I want to eventually develop? Are you going to help me push myself to be the next best self I can be? Are you already okay with who I am? Because if you're already okay with who I am, I'm not. I'm trying to always improve. Like I think I don't have a problem with who I am today. Yeah. But I would like to eventually become better.
Yeah.
And if she's 100% okay with who I am right now, that's not okay with me, because that means you're not going to push me. You're not going to make me that better.
What if she wants to push? She's okay with who you are, but
if she's okay but she wants to push, that's perfect. That would be perfect. I think that would be perfect. If someone fucks with you, like they like your vibe and they see the potential in you, I think that's when you should start dating, and that's when you should like just see where it goes. Because like if you see potential in each other and you see like, wait, who is that? Like, how do I get to that level? Or like, you're like, well, hey, this person, like, hey, this person is only, let's say music for example. Hey, this person only has like 5 views, and their song is not the best, but that bass line though, that person has some potential. Is like they might keep messing with you to see like, where do you go the next time? So I don't think it's like, I think it's all, if the girl likes the guy likes the girl. At the end of the day, go for it. But I think at the end of the day, the relationships I've seen that works the best, I've seen two long-lasting relationships with my grandparents. Both grandparents, my grandparents in North Carolina, my grandparents in South Carolina. They both, my grandfather, when my grandmother came down with dementia, he still took care of her every single day. He did not leave her side. He did not let a nursing home take her. He took care of her every day until it took her away.
So what's the secret, bro? It's to live, bro.
I'll tell you the secret. The secret is, when you find someone you love, that you like, you fight for that person. If you want them in your life, you fight for that person. You fight to keep them in your life, because if you want that person in your life, you do what it takes. You do what's necessary to show them that you want them in your life. You do what's necessary to show them that, hey, you're worth being in my life. Because my grandfather's story is actually so cool. He was like, your grandmother did not want a piece of me at all. She hated my guts.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I thought she was a wonderful woman. I thought she was so beautiful. And he said in my head, he's like, that's the woman I'm gonna marry.
Yeah,
and he kept going. He kept going. He kept going.
Yeah.
Like, it took years. It took him years. So like, a lot of these people, like, they want a quick fix. They want the instant gratification. But easy come, easy go, as cliche as that is a sound. When you take the time to develop yourself, when you take the time to put, just gain the knowledge of something, like research, study, or just you take the time to just fully develop an idea or yourself, that will yield you so much more fruit in the long run, because you took the time and the effort that necessary to get to that point. If you work to earn $1,000, you'll be like, okay, I just earned this $1,000. How do I make even more? You'll learn how to grow that. You'll keep growing that, because you learn how to do it the first time. You know it worked the first time. You're gonna cut out all the BS that didn't work, and you're gonna keep focusing on what did work. And then you're gonna make $2,000, and then $5,000, $10,000, etc. It's gonna keep exponentially growing. But let's say you were just like, hey, can someone lend me $1,000? I promise I'll make it right back. You have no idea how to make $1,000. You're gonna lose that $1,000, and now it's exponential the other way, because you borrowed $1,000, you had to pay that back, but you couldn't make that $1,000. So now you're in a $2,000 deficit. At $2,000 deficit, interest. Now you're $4,000 in deficit. Like, it's all a snowball effect. And the thing is, like I said with relationships too, is that so many guys, they are so quick to want the girl to just like them. They're like, oh, you're so beautiful. That's enough reason for me to just
validating her.
Yeah, and it's like, well, of course that girl didn't want anything to do with you, because if you're that head over heels, head over heels the first time over her, what does that tell her when you're seeing another cute girl?
So you're saying be toxic?
No. I know what you mean.
Yes.
But
he said, I know what you mean.
It's more so like put in the time. Like, she might not like you right away. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my first girlfriend, I did not like right away. And then after about a year, I was like, wow, wait, she's actually really cool. We had
why didn't you like her at first?
Well, I didn't like her first. I like this other girl.
You liked another girl?
Yeah, and I'm never the type to play the game.
Who's the other girl? Were you dating her? Was that
No. I lost my voice. It was the most embarrassed I've ever been asking a girl out, bro. Yeah. I won this bear.
Happens, bro.
I won this bear in a claw machine. I was at this Toby Mac concert, and it was the first concert I've ever been to. I was yelling so loud. I was going through puberty already, so I thought my voice was like this.
Yeah.
And so I had a good voice, but then it sounded like I was going through puberty. And I was like, hi. I'm Marc. I thought I won this for you, and it was so embarrassing. I could tell she was holding back laughter. It was so embarrassing. But the point is that personally, I've only had 3 relationships.
Yeah.
Each one went on for years. If they didn't go on for years, we spent years getting to know each other, and I don't regret a single one. I don't have a single crazy ex. I don't have a single bad ex. I don't have a single ex. I'm like, I would.
You learn more about yourself than the other person.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like,
so you're on good terms with all of them.
Yeah, because they all helped me grow into who I am today. They all taught me a really valuable lesson. Yeah. And like, so I just think the key you asked, you said it was the secret. The key is just putting in the time and being consistent. Consistency, persistency, and efficiency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I learned that.
So I think that's the secret.
I think any successful relationship or marriage built on sacrifices. So if you can make a big sacrifice for the other person, it's going to be successful. But if you can't, then
also trust.
True.
Yeah. Trust is probably amazing.
Yeah.
So it just shows like, hey, these relationships can work, but like, have an open mind. Like, realize that you still have a long way to go.
That's so true. That's so true.
The worst thing you can do towards someone, guys, if someone is openly coming to you about something that they are willing to communicate with you, do not shut them down. Don't immediately go from 0 to 100. Don't start yelling at them. Don't start raising your voice. Don't start getting frustrated. Like, if someone has a pressing matter they want to tell you, even if you don't agree with it or like it bothers you, take a breath and think. Yeah. Because if you shut them down every time they're trying to come to you for something, they're going to stop communicating. And that is a huge pillar of a relationship, is communication. Yeah. Without communication, where's the trust? Where's the respect? Where's the loyalty? Because you don't know what's going on. You're not communicating. You don't know where that person. You don't have to be like, hey, what's your location right now? Well, if you're not home within 5 minutes, I'm leaving you. I'm not saying I do something like crazy shit like that, but like, hey, babe, I was So I got home so late. Work was a little extra long today. I wasn't expecting to be there that long. I got home as soon as I could. I can't use my phone while I'm at the job. So I didn't pick you up. I started pick up.
What if she's like, let me see your phone?
I'm not glad for me. I got nothing to hide. So like I said, I've never been the guy who plays the game, like plays the field. Yeah. I'm the guy who I got my eyes on one girl until it doesn't, until I see that it doesn't work out with that one, and then I just go on to the next. As J. Cole said, on to the next, on to the next one. It's hard to move on when you always regret one. But I don't know. I think it's cool though. I think life, you're always learning things in life. Like life is a learning process. Yeah. And like it's cool to meet like-minded people, like people like you, people like Juan, like people who are like my age, who are like so young, but like we still have like a refined perspective. Because like a lot of people don't have that.
You don't meet a lot of people like that. Yeah.
You really don't, man. You really don't. That's why I don't fuck with a lot of people.
Yeah.
For me, I give people the benefit of the doubt until they show me wrong. But unfortunately, a lot of people prove me wrong.
Yeah, true.
And the biggest thing for me too is like, that's something that's my struggle with being a music therapist. Is that I'm worried about. I don't have it in me to fake it. Like I'm very authentic. Like if I feel something, I tend to over compliment, and I could like when I see something in someone that I like, I'm like, I like that shit. I'm gonna let you know it.
Yeah.
And I'm very like, I can't like if someone's like, do you like that? I'm like, it could be better if you did that maybe, but it's not for me. But the thing is like, I'm sorry, what was I just my mind just I was
music therapy.
Music therapy. It's like, what if I meet someone that like just their morals don't line up with mine? Like we just don't see eye to eye. I understand. I can learn to be amicable with people. Like I can learn to get along. But like at the end of the day, like how do I give guidance to someone who if I genuinely feel like I cannot help them? And that thing, I don't think that way right now. But like, what if I'm doing the career? I'm like, what if I potentially reach someone where I just in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I can reach this
I heard
person.
somewhere that like helping people, you just gotta ask questions and have them repeat, like, and just analyze their life, and just be there to ask questions, be there if they want to talk to you. But as far as advice, you don't give it unless they ask for it.
Yeah, just kind of like, hey, so let's say they're having like a bad day or something, right? Like, hey man, you look kind of down. Everything good today? Yeah, man, I was getting picked on in school. Oh, like, what kind of classes do you take? Do you like the school? No. Then you get to the root of their problem. That way you're understanding their situation. They're opening up to you, and instead of like you being like, well, hey, do this, because in a way that kind of shuts them down. And so if you think like subconsciously, if someone comes to you with like a problem, and you're saying, well, hey, do this. Subconsciously, you just told them, hey, your issue is as easy as me. I heard you real quick. I can already analyze it and tell you what to do. So your problem's actually not as important as you think, or your problem's not as severe as you think, because it's I can fix it like that. Yeah. You might not be saying that, you might not even be thinking that, but subconsciously that is the message you just sent out. And people don't understand that subconscious is a very, very important part of the mind. Because that goes back into what you were talking about. A lot of people have egos. And that's all subconscious. Like people don't walk around like, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm gonna walk around with an ego.
But here's the thing: you're always the biggest guy is the biggest guy in the room until he's not the biggest guy. So a little example. I was playing basketball with these guys at the gym, and we're playing, and this one guy is like really tall, like 6'4" maybe, and he's like really big, and he's dunking on all of us, and then he's talking trash, and he thinks like he has a really big ego at this point because he's making all the buckets. He's talking trash to us, and then 40 minutes later, we're still playing. 5 really tall other dudes come into the court, and he shuts up. He doesn't say a single word because he knows he's not the biggest guy anymore. Like,
But you know what I think is interesting though about ego is. This is something I'm thinking before we're getting hospitalized. Yeah. It taught me that I am nowhere near as big as I am. Yeah. Because at first, I'm not gonna lie, when I was 19, before 19, I thought I was hot shit. I was funny enough to make people laugh. People liked me enough where they were always like, I always had a friend group. Like, maybe not a friend group, I always had like, I could hang out with someone. I didn't necessarily have a lot of friends, but I had enough friends where I had enough people to seek refuge to. And after I got hospitalized and I lost literally. I have my buddy Colin, shout out Colin. I have my best friend who's my roommate Graham, Zach Wilson. I have my buddies in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm talking about just in terms of people who were in North Carolina at the time, like for who would like be there for the episodes. I maybe like 3 or 4 people. Yeah. Out of like I might have talked to like 30 to 50 people before. I ended up having like 3 people in my corner after that. They tell me, well, dang, I'm actually not as big as I thought I was. So, excuse me. This is another important lesson, guys. If you don't mind for the podcast.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if any of you have made it this far, please listen to. If you haven't listened to anything I've said, this is the most important thing. It's like the gem I can give you, the biggest gem. Empathy goes so much further in this lifetime than you can ever imagine. Like, trying to understand someone's situation is impossible. You'll never fully grasp what someone else is going through. A lot of people will say, well, you can't relate to what I'm going through. You have no idea what you're talking about, or like you can't relate what I'm going through. It's so much more severe than what you're going through, and like they try to weigh their issues with your issues as like a way to say, well, since what you're going through is harder than me, it holds more weight, or what you're going through is easier for me, it holds less weight. Again, everything is so subjective. What is easy for you could be hard to someone else. What's hard to you could be easy to someone else. I have a mental illness that 98.6% of people will never have. Does that mean that because I've gone through a traumatic experience and that because I have that insane life experience that I have any more right to give you advice than the next person? No, you don't know what I've gone through. You don't know the extent of what I've gone. You don't know the intensity to that. But to flip it around again, I've never had something such as, let's say, bipolar, for example. Yeah. Well, someone who struggles with a bipolar issue or bipolar depression, things like that, their issues might be very horrendous and very traumatic to them.
You'll never know it.
And I'll never know that. But does that mean that I can't at least be empathetic to them? Like, well, hey, man, I've gone through a really rough time too. I know what it's like to be in that low point and not think you're never going to make it back to the top. Here's what I did. I'm not saying do this, but if it helped me, it could possibly help you. Empathy goes so much further than you guys think. And I think a lot of people, or I think it would be helpful, just stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop using social media likes as like a way to say, hey, this person is this much more influential than this person. This person's so much more worth than this person. We're all human beings at the end of the day. We all go through adversity. We all have our tribulations, our trials and tribulations. We all have our hardships. We all have our good times. Support each other. If we all help each other go one step forward, and there's 8 billion people in this world, and we all take one step forward, that's 8 billion steps. How many feet are in a mile? Like 5,180, right? Something along that, like 5,000. Let's say 5,180. Let's say there's 5,000 feet in a mile. Well, there's 8,000 steps you just took, or 8 billion steps you just took. You took 8 billion steps. I don't know how many times 5,000 was 8 billion, but bro, that is miles and miles. You just walked humanity forward because we all helped each other take a step forward. Like people don't like. People are so like self-absorbed. They're not thinking like, hey, that one act of kindness is a snowball effect. A lot of people are followers, not in a bad way, but a lot of people are, like I said, at 24, I am still learning the answer to life. A lot of people are still seeking guidance to that answer to life. Yeah. So what happens when you're that leader and you show everyone that, hey, I'm treating everyone well out of the genuity of my heart, and it's working for me, and I live this lifestyle that you guys are trying to live, and I do it honorably. Well, now you just create a snowball effect. Maybe 2 or 3 people follow you, and they're trying to follow your lead. Well, maybe 2 or 3 people follow them because they see their lead. Well, that's what 3 people for 3 people. So 1, 3, 3. I'm not gonna do that. I'm too tired. But let's say like that your one act of kindness just reached 10 people right there, and that those 10 people, it reached another 10 people. So you got 100. You're exponentially snowballing the movement that you're trying to create. So you people, you don't realize that your actions can be much more influential than you think, but are you going to let those actions be placed in the right parts of your life? I think
that's beautiful. Fans spit gems. Yeah, I mean, got anything else to talk about?
Oh, I just made a really bad joke and that's it. But call me a coal miner, I would stay with the gems. Oh! Just kidding.
Bars.
Trying to think. Oh, I mean, cool experience too, I guess. I know it's more music related, they call it for the journey, but I think a really cool thing that happened recently is, I don't know if you guys have heard the artist Anthony Hamilton.
No.
Well, I didn't know his name. He's one of those artists where he's very popular and you would know his music. You might not know the name to the music, but he's been around for a while, and he's it's so cool. I was at this restaurant. And this man, he was looking pretty fly, I'm not gonna lie. He was dressed pretty fly.
Yeah.
But he sits right next to me, and I think I just looked and I was like, hey, how's it going? And I turned right back around. And then he ended up saying something else to me. I forgot exactly what the conversation was. I just remember, like, I don't know what it was, but he took a liking to me. It seemed like he took a liking to me right away. And we were just like talking back and forth. You
were working, or you were just?
I was just at the restaurant. He just sat right next to me, and I started a conversation with a stranger. You know what I'm saying? I love people, so I generally like talking.
Were you like at a bar?
Yeah, we were at the bar area. Yeah, so like little bartender. Yeah, and so I'm talking to this guy. And I'm like, so we're talking about the things we've been doing. And so I think he asked me what I was doing or something like that. I forgot who asked who what. But I got to the point where I was like, well, yeah, so what have you been up to? He goes, this man says, like, so nonchalant. It's so cool. He goes, yeah, I just got back from doing the Grammys with the baby. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, you said it so confidently that I want to believe you, but at the same time, I'm like, come on now. And then, I was in disbelief. It was what?
Grammys?
Wait for it. This is the coolest part. And I'll show you guys with my phone. Thank God I remember that. But he was like, I just got back from doing the Grammys with the baby, and I was like, this guy just said that so confidently. I believe him, but I don't know what to believe necessarily. And eventually, got to the point where he was like saying, I have a song with this artist. And I was like, man. I was like, in my head, I was like, anyone can say this, but this man is saying it so confidently. Like, I believe him. And then it got to the point where we were having such a good conversation. We were talking life. We were talking personal matters, and like I felt like we were really connected. Yeah. And he goes, listen, man. He goes, I don't want you. He goes, don't change from this world. He said, please. He said, you have a good head on your shoulders. He said, I like your personality. He said, please, don't change for anyone. He said, they said the world could use more people like you. Wow. And the fact that a celebrity said that made my day.
But he's just the same as you.
That's what I learned too. Yeah. That conversation taught me he's just a human being, just like I am. Yeah. And when he ended up dropping a follow on Instagram, and so that's how I realized that's when the weight sunk in. When it said 1 million followers and it had the blue check mark next to it, I was like, holy sweesh! I was like, this holy, he did do the Grammys with the baby. This man has sung the national anthem. I met a superstar pretty much, and I wasn't even phased. Like it was weird because I saw him as a human being.
Yeah, you weren't like. You didn't view it as a blue check mark. When you
first
saw him, you're like, just another guy.
And then the coolest thing, this happened back in like June or May, dude. I thought maybe he followed me. I thought like the avoid like the awkward confrontation of like, well, and I'm a fan. He was like, you a fan? Yeah. It's now what, October? I'm still following. He only follows 7,000 people. He has 1 million followers. The majority of his followers, or the majority of people he's following, are verified on Instagram. I'm not. I have maybe 150 followers.
That means like in conversation with him,
he meant something. He fucked with me, bro. Or sorry, I don't know if you can swear on the podcast, but this dude, we made a genuine connection. Yeah. And so the reason that story was cool is I'm not gonna release any information that he told me because so he told me some things that I think he's trying to keep on the DL.
Personal stuff.
And
Spill it,
bro. It wasn't like
spill it, bro.
It wasn't like it's like
the title's gonna be like Anthony Hamilton.
No, but
we're gonna use it for
clickbait. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
But what's it called? It's nothing like big. It's more like an operation he's trying to start up. I don't want to I don't like say anything like mess with the operation. But pretty much he told me he would give me an honest listen on my music. Yeah. He said after he finished with his next tour, which I believe, or his next show or tour, or finished the album or his album, I don't remember what it was. Yeah. But he recently just released an album called Love Is the New Black, which I recommend everyone check this album out. I personally like the song White Hennessy on there. Holy, this man is good. It's soulful. That thing is soulful. You will feel it. Like, I couldn't stop. Like rap makes you do this. Like I'm like this. I'm getting hype. His song, I was like
R&B or like.
Yeah, it's like R&B and soul kind of. Like, I would say he's more like a soul singer. Like I would say I don't say blues, but like imagine if R&B mixed blues with soul. Yeah, kind of like thing. Yeah, I think he's wonderful. And he was like, if I'll give you an honest listen. And if I think your music is good enough, I will. Maybe we can see what happens in the future. And he said, if not, then I'll give you an honest opinion of what I think you could do with music instead. Yeah. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. And he sent me a DM to remind himself that, hey, this is the person I spoke to. And he ended up actually reaching back out to me too. Wow. So I spoke to him. I reached out to him. He reached back out. And it's been a while since we talked. At the same time, he's got so much going on right now. I don't expect him to have time to answer the DMs. I'm showing him my support. I keep commenting on like posts and things like that, and like he likes them. He'll like them, and like it kind of shows me that he's still watching.
Yeah.
And the coolest part, man, I just think it's cool that he's like still like the fact he's still following me, the fact that he's still like watching, because that shows that he wasn't just bullshitting me. He was being authentic about that. And then I came to the realization, excuse me, which to any of you aspiring artists out there, this might help you out too. You cannot rely. You cannot have the mentality, hey, I'm good enough now. Eventually, I'll get found. You have to have the mentality, I need to get found on my own. I'm gonna do everything in my power to do it, because I realized I could wait around and be like, hey, he could pick me up. Maybe he'll pick me up. What if he doesn't? And then on top of that, why would he want to pick me up if I'm not doing anything for myself? Why would he want to pick me up if if I don't show him I have the drive already? So that's why I've been noticing on Instagram. I'm like going to try to post every single day. I'm like pushing myself to post every single day. It's because I'm trying to actually start building my brand. I want to start taking this super serious. Like I got the craft taken down serious, but music, as an artist, you're also a brand. You know, it's 2021. Anyone can be an independent artist now. We got so many different ad streams. You got not ad streams, platforms. Ad revenues and platforms. You have Spotify, TikTok, Facebook, everything. You know, there's so many different platforms. It only takes one song to get found. The thing is, a lot of it is luck, sure, but by positioning, by working, by persistency, by continuously working, you can mitigate how much luck you need. Because
I don't necessarily believe in luck. I think luck is, preparation meets opportunity. And I feel like everything is already predestined, my personal opinion. But I really say this to a lot of people, that luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. If you're constantly putting yourself in opportunities and you're prepared, like let's say you're rapping every single day and then suddenly you meet another Anthony Hamilton, then you're prepared for that moment because you have all this catalog of music and you've been rapping for years and you have these videos, and he's gonna see, like, the next person might see, like, oh, this guy's already established, I just need to, give him more resources, So I don't know if I believe in luck.
I don't personally believe in luck either. I want to use it kind of like loosely, like so many people do use like the term luck. I honestly like what you just said. Like, luck is preparation meets opportunity. That's actually a really good. That's a gym in itself. Y'all listen to this man right here. But I would say too is like here's my personal opinion, and I'm not gonna get any hate for this. This is my personal opinion, guys. What? Yeah, I'm going all out.
You got 5 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes. Word. I personally think, this won't go on too long, but I think if you rely on luck, or if you think the reason you're not at where you want to be at is because you were not lucky enough, or that someone is more fortunate than you don't have it in yourself to take some accountability and say, hey, I'm not at XYZ place because something I'm doing fundamentally is not working, and you don't have it in yourself to say, hey, well, I'm not at this place yet because something I'm doing is just not right. Something I'm doing is not the right way to get there. And you can't just you can't improve on that. You can't, then I don't know what to tell you, but if you rely on luck, I believe that luck is a lazy term. I believe luck is like well, it's more of an excuse. It's a scapegoat. Luck is a scapegoat term. Like, oh, I'm not lucky enough to get there. That's too. That requires too much luck. I need something that's more sustainable. Well, if you just put in the time and the effort and the work, wouldn't that thing that you were trying to get lucky with, wouldn't that preparation turn into an opportunity, or wouldn't that preparation end up meaning an opportunity because you put in so much work and so much dedication to it? I don't know about you, but I know you're starting to want to do like the podcast, like filmmaking, and like you're starting to do like things like that. If you are getting really good at like videography, and you keep doing projects and you keep putting yourself out there, you're gonna keep getting better. And you're gonna, and I think you're good, but you're gonna keep getting better, and people are gonna start looking at you. People are gonna be like, wait, that video was fire. You're like, this motherfucker out for me. But like, you eventually get to that opportunity because you spent so much time prepping for it, or prepping for it. Let's see, 4 minutes. All right, word. Last thing I gotta say.
Go ahead.
And it's just like, you probably relate in terms of like filmmaking, but I visualize what I want to do with music every single time I'm showing it to someone. Because like you said, it's like if you spend time, if you don't think about an opportunity and how you would react, like let's say I do meet another Anthony Hamilton. If I don't memorize any of my songs and I'm not prepared for like the opportunity, he's like, well, rap for me right now. If I like it, we can do a collab. I'm like,
he frees up
he's like, well, on to the next person. But it's like since I think about it so often, and I'm so confident in myself now. That chance ever comes,
You're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'll hit him with the I spit it with ease, so leave it to me. Is that what you better believe? I'm on a rampage, hit him with a record release. Depending on the week, I'm probably gonna have to achieve another goal. Let me go when I'm over the beat. I go in the beast mode, like I'm ready to feast. We only got 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna have to end this note on the beat.
Oh, so that's freestyle?
No, that's someone else's verse, but I was trying to turn into a freestyle as well.
No,
that's some
nice.
NF. That's not me, by the way.
Yeah.
But I just had to do
That
that.
was fire.
Word. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Again, if y'all, I guess the Instagram in the bio, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put Marc's Instagram in the bio. Check him out. Support him.
The artist known as
Just
Quez,
came out,
Mr. Winston.
What?
It's a new song just came out.
Oh, yeah, I mean, check it out if you want. But yeah, shout out Marc. We definitely have him on future podcasts. I enjoyed talking with you.
Same. It was wonderful getting. It was wonderful getting like. I'm glad. I know that you guys. It's more so like you guys were more asking me questions. I feel like the questions you guys were asking also helped me like get to know you all better too. So it was really fun actually doing this. Like it was really nice.
Yeah, we're probably gonna talk more after this. So, but we won't film it. So
We might kiss. Who knows?
that's us.
We'll definitely do all that. Don't worry.
All right, bro.
Did you say we're definitely doing that?
All right, y'all.